We are finally approaching Elimination Chamber, also known as No Escape in Germany, for a variety of reasons. Okay. There's only 4 confirmed matches. I'm expecting Titus Worldwide versus The Bar to be the kickoff match. So 5 matches, that's something. Normally you would try to blow up the card on main rosterville, but it seems like with Vince McMahon's XFL trying to get built up again, Triple H is now taking recontrols of certain aspects of the show, since it's been said that with 205 Live, after Enzo's termination, Triple H has finally taken over that show and is now trying to get it back to where it should be. And yeah. Now it seems like it's affecting WWE main rosterville, which will make NXT and WWE on an even playing field. And instead of being horribly lopsided, or at one point was at a huge momentum, however, then Vince McMahon's stupidity came in, with Ryan Ward being replaced by Road Dogg. So we got Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy. This was announced on the final Raw before Elimination Chamber. This is a feud that a lot of people were dreaming to see. Broken Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt. And this whole feud, whereas it could have been a fun feud, it's now become a fight for desperation, specifically on Bray Wyatt's part. And they acknowledged that Bray Wyatt had a downward spiral during his qualification match with Roman Reigns, who they also said was having a downward spiral, which doesn't make any sense because didn't he defeat The Undertaker? Didn't he just defeat John Cena? Didn't he just defeat all these other people? Didn't he win the IC title? What, losing 2 weeks in a row was apparently a downward spiral? Yeah, we're really going with this logic. And when Matt Hardy was finally becoming woken, I was pumped, like, okay, let's get this going. Let's get this feud. Let's hope Bray Wyatt can get back on track with this guy, with Matt Hardy. It's been relegated to promos and Matt Hardy laughing really, really crazily. And it's lost a lot of its steam. They did have a match at on Raw, but it was so lackluster and it had no energy in it that it doesn't count for me. And now it's been announced that we'll get Bray Wyatt versus Matt Hardy on Elimination Chamber, which makes me wonder one thing. If Bray Wyatt wins this match, does that mean Matt Hardy's going to win at WrestleMania and give Bray Wyatt his 4th loss in a row? Which I seriously hope is not the case. Or, if Matt Hardy defeats Bray Wyatt at Elimination Chamber through some controversial means, Bray Wyatt will get the victory at WrestleMania? Because I really just want Bray Wyatt to just win at WrestleMania. I seriously just want it. This is a feud that has so much potential, but because Vince doesn't seem to understand what the hell woken or broken was, since it's been said he doesn't watch TNA, he just hears it, but when he hears it, he just thinks, oh, that's why it got over, let's exploit that. And instead of actually looking at it with a more objective eye, he just hears, like, hey, have you heard Matt Hardy laugh when he goes into the broken state? Yeah, that doesn't count for Vince. Like, if he hears one aspect and hears people talking about it, that's what makes it crazy for him. And they said Matt Hardy had creative control over this character. Nothing about it feels like Matt Hardy had 100% control. Like, there could be another reason why. It's because it's a PG show, whereas TNA was a TV-14 show. I think that's the big difference, and even I addressed that in my Broken Hardys video when I talked about their year. I think that's the main cause of it. Like, Matt Hardy can't do the things that he could do in TNA because they had a higher rating system, whereas WWE is restricted as all fuck. Oh, by the way, apparently now WWE has been given permission by the USA Network to say fuck uncensored. That's not going to get them over on television. Like, what happened on the final Road to Elimination Chamber pay-per-view would be what gives people to tune in and watch. But we'll see how that goes later down the road. I'll talk about what that specific thing I'm talking about is. So Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy, I want them to do good. I want this feud to get into gear, and I get the feeling that they shot it up too early. Like they could have done something different regarding the build up for it, and then lead to a match, a duology of sorts at Elimination Chamber, and then at WrestleMania. Like maybe have Matt Hardy have a confrontation with Bray Wyatt and do more of the broken attitude in the ring, and then you see them team up, which they did do at Royal Rumble, when all of a sudden I was thinking, like, I want Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy to, like, stop when their feud's over and just team up. The Woken Wyatt family, that would be freaking awesome. It'd be the Hardys and Wyatts teaming up. If Bray Wyatt could get his old team back together, like Braun Strowman specifically, but this is just a dream. Imagine if Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy teamed up, and Jeff Hardy's trying to save his brother because Bray Wyatt seems to be controlling him, so to speak. Yeah, that could be interesting, but since that's interesting, that means they can't do it. Because interesting gives way to interest. So, yeah. And apparently they're going to try and do a House of Horrors matchup, but under the Matt Hardy Woken gimmick, and take it to the Wyatt compound, which I must stress was burned to the ground, but apparently that doesn't exist because everyone's complained about it, because Orton committed arson. That's a crime. No, people weren't complaining that he committed arson. They committed the fact that there was no consequences. Like, Orton doesn't get punished for that. Reigns only gets a verbal stern talking to, but even that's barely something. Meanwhile, AJ Styles, he gets fired for beating up Shane McMahon. That lasts a week. So, why is the compound suddenly back around? Why can't they just take this to the Hardy compound? To the Hardy household? Like, imagine, like, they could bring in King Maxwell and Ruby Hardy. And maybe even get Jeff Hardy if he's healthy enough. Like, that would be interesting. But I get the feeling it's because since Bray Wyatt's on his own and he doesn't have fellow members of the Wyatt family on his side this time, they would have to try and come up with something different. Yeah. Like, imagine if they did have the Wyatt family back together and the Hardy family in the same, basically in the same big promo vignette. That would be awesome. Yes, Ruby Hardy is a woman, and therefore they wouldn't punch her because WWE cares about the human female. But, like, maybe they could do Nikki Cross teaming up with Bray Wyatt. Like, maybe they could bring Sandy in to do this. This could work. They'd be like Decay versus the Hardy family feud. So, yeah, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, I don't think they're going to steal the show, but I'm just hoping that this leads to something amazing later down the road. Now we get Asuka versus Nia Jax. Asuka's going to win. There's no complaint. There's no comparison. Like, if you didn't think Asuka was going to lose or was going to win, I hear something that will completely confirm that Asuka is not going to lose anytime soon. It has been said that Asuka is scheduled to finally lose her streak to Ronda Rousey. Yeah. And before that, it's been said that Nia Jax is scheduled to fight Alexa Bliss while Asuka goes to fight Charlotte. So we already know how this is going to end. Like, they gave it away. Like, in the one report I heard, it already gave away what's going to happen. Asuka's going to defeat Charlotte. Alexa Bliss is going to retain, then lose to Ronda Rousey, at best. And then it's going to lead to a Ronda Rousey versus Asuka match at Survivor Series in a cross-promotional, inter-promotional match, despite the whole no longer branded exclusive pay-per-views. Yeah. I'll time how that when Backlash comes around. So, yeah, Asuka's going to win this match. I'm glad they put a stake on it other than the streak, but yeah, the fact that it's being built up just to do a repeat of Lesnar versus Taker, that's honestly disappointing. Like, I don't know if Ronda's going to work full time or full part time. No idea on that yet. But yeah, that's my one fear. That we'll have a repeat of Taker versus Lesnar when the streak ended at WrestleMania 30. This time we'll be at Survivor Series. Oh, and speaking of Ronda Rousey, she's scheduled to sign her contract at the show, her Raw exclusive contract, giving more obviousness that this is what the storyline just says going to go. But I'm pretty sure Stephanie McMahon and her are going to fight first. Like, that's been clearly obvious. And I'm expecting... Deluxe Man came up with some hilarious ideas, especially could have been internet commentary about, how Triple H could try and file charges against Ronda Rousey to get her fired, or Stephanie McMahon trying to get her fired, or try to do anything in her power to avoid the inevitable matchup. Yeah, that would be freaking awesome, and I just want to see Ronda Rousey destroy Stephanie at WrestleMania, because, let's be honest, when was the last time she truly got her comeuppance? And no, I don't count being accidentally speared, being kicked, being collided with Triple H after Seth Rollins kicked him and crashed into Stephanie. Yeah, I don't count those two. So the last time she got her comeuppance was... I think when Vicky Guerrero was fired in that mud pool match, and that was 3 to 4 years ago. She has not gotten her comeuppance in 4 years. That should say something. Which means 4 years of huge build-up to see Stephanie finally get her comeuppance might be at WrestleMania this year in the Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon match. And a report came out that apparently Ronda Rousey was brought in, not because she's a multi-million mainstream star. No. We gotta make Stephanie McMahon look good. Even though she's a corporate head, and I've addressed this already in my Deluxe Man response video. Yeah. So now we get to, that contract sign is going to be tense. But now we get to Braun Strowman versus Elias versus Finn Balor versus John Cena versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus The Miz in the Elimination Chamber match for the opportunity for a WWE Universal Championship match at WrestleMania 34. Now, why am I talking about this first before the women's? Because whereas the women's are making history, the men are somewhat making history with an additional one other person, which doesn't really count as making history. That's to be expected. Yeah, all throughout this video, it's like, I didn't care. I had no care whatsoever for this entire build-up. Like, yeah, Braun Strowman was fun. Elias was fun. Finn Balor was struggling. John Cena, it's John Cena, don't care. Miz was awesome as always. Seth Rollins has reignited his career. And, yeah, Roman Reigns is going to win. There's no point in caring. There's no point in caring for this match. Yes, it could be a good match, but... Here's the thing, when I was saying, like, okay, at least this will be a good match. Yeah, even they fucked that up. Big time. You see, on the final Raw before Elimination Chamber, not only did they have a gauntlet match to determine with no stakes. Yeah, there's no stakes involved. And I don't mean the food, even though that would be freaking awesome to have right now. But, I already had dinner at the time of this video, but let me move on. They did a gauntlet match that had no stakes, and they gave it over 90 minutes, and it's now the longest match in Raw history. And probably WWE history. Every Iron Man match did not have that record. None. And this gauntlet match did. And Seth Rollins stole the show. Like, just give him why couldn't this have been the match at Elimination Chamber? Like, you clearly hinted at that. Why couldn't that have been the match? Or why not put in that kind of quality in the Elimination Chamber match? Like, you could cut out Asuka versus Nia Jax. You could cut out Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy and just do that. Just give it to the two, like, okay, yeah, maybe you could put in Asuka versus Nia Jax since you need an in-between match. But really, you could just put those 3 matches and be done. It was over an hour. The show was done on Raw for me because I had no caring whatsoever afterwards. The women's chamber match has not been given the proper respect. Yeah. And Elias, I'm really glad that he's getting this push, but let's be honest, he would not have gotten this push if Samoa Joe did not get hurt. Yeah, think about it. If Samoa Joe did not get hurt, Elias wouldn't have been in this position. So he's just here because they ran out of people. Yeah, I wonder what would have happened if they had kept a guy like Bad News Bear and gave him a big push as a face. I wonder what that would have been like. We'll never know that. Or we could have had the Nexus angle actually work out without that screw job at SummerSlam. Oh, no, wait, we can't do that because Cena's a hero. He needs to have a happy ending for everybody because fuck the reality of everything. Yeah, I'm basically saying that a lot of this is also John Cena's fault. He's screwed so many top guys over the years that now they have to actually now take a risk with Elias and probably at a point where he might not be ready. Like, he's doing good with the material he's been given, but here's the thing. In the world of WWE that screwed over people because they got over organically, Walk with Elias could be in danger. And I seriously still want to see... I know they did this as a mixed match challenge, but I still want to see Elias versus Rusev. Surprisingly, I want to see that match. Just to hear the audience be split, hearing fans chant, Walk with Elias, Rusev Day! Walk with Elias, Rusev Day! That would be freaking awesome. That would just be simply amazing to see. Braun Strowman also... He did an awesome angle with a cello and destroyed it, but apparently he is an awesome singer, and I joked to my mom saying, I might have finally got into country music because of Strowman, because my mom's a country music fan, and I just wanted to anger her. So I'm crazy about that. I'm crazy at doing that. The Miz, okay, he's IC champion. Did you honestly think he would have a shot? I'm like, yeah, Lesnar versus Miz would have been interesting and actually address how he could play up the strength. But yeah, that's not going to happen. Seth Rollins, well, originally he was supposed to fight Jason Jordan, but that got cut because Jason Jordan got hurt. And John Cena is scheduled to try and screw over The Undertaker big time. Finn Balor, he's not over enough according to Vince. So he's clearly just in here because of fan service. Braun Strowman is either scheduled to fight The Miz or Triple H. Elias, he's not guaranteed that whatsoever. So that clearly leaves Roman Reigns. That's so freaking obvious. If there was no reports with Roman Reigns being scheduled to fight Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania this year, this prediction still would have came a mile away. And yeah, and this match has no potential now. This match should have been the Gauntlet match. All that quality, that should have been at Elimination Chamber. Imagine it. They should have done that. But no, we can't do that because, yeah, like, I'm not saying the Gauntlet match was bad or anything. It just felt like you sacrificed the Elimination Chamber match for the Gauntlet match with no stakes involved. So, how are they supposed to be told, top that? Guys, we want you to top this. They can't. Like, they're not going to be told to go over 90 minutes, and with 3 other matches, they're not going to be told they're going to be able to go at that level, and I'm pretty certain Seth Rollins would not have been booked in the Iron Man status he was given, which was freaking awesome, with Cena and Roman Reigns, since they clearly want Reigns to win. Oh, and speaking of logical stuff going on that makes no sense, Asuka and Nia Jax. Yeah, I forgot to mention this. They mentioned her streak in NXT. They erased the whole Nia Jax fought Asuka for the NXT Women's title at the end, I believe, and lost. They got rid of that because logic discriminatory policies have to exist. So, yeah, this chamber match, no matter how good they could try and make it, it's not going to top the gauntlet match. They failed. They screwed up the pay-per-view. So now let's get to what should be practically the main event, because there is no point in keeping the men's Elimination Chamber match the main event. The first ever Raw Women's Championship match inside the Elimination Chamber of Alexa Bliss versus Bayley versus Mandy Rose versus Mickie James versus Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville. This was not given the hype it should have been given. Like the Royal Rumble, they just bank on the whole, well, it's history. We don't have to put in the effort. Which makes me worry that if they do a women's WrestleMania main event match and Vince is still around running everything, I get the feeling we won't get we won't get a build-up whatsoever, despite it being the main event, because the history thing is enough. And here's the thing. You want to know what the highlights of this whole feud of this whole build-up was? Bayley and Sasha Banks delivering an awesome match. And Alexa Bliss doing one thing. You want to know what that one thing is? She pointed out the fucking obvious. You know, why is Lesnar not defending the title at Elimination Chamber? Kurt Angle did not have a response for that. Yeah, so you could make the argument Kurt Angle's being favorites. And Alexa Bliss pulled the I'm a woman card. Is that the reason? I was like, wow, the amount of SJW neo-feminist Nazis are going to probably love that. But no, it's because Lesnar is a lazy son of a bitch. Okay, yeah, that was cruel. It's just Lesnar's just lazy and doesn't care anymore. So, yeah, I apologize for that comment. But yeah, Lesnar being lazy, yeah, that's a fact. Like, he doesn't care anymore. He just wants the money. Like, if he actually cared, he would at least come once a month for every pay-per-view match. He doesn't need to wrestle full-time in the ring, because I know that would be too hard for him, since he apparently hated that when he was a full-time guy. But, come on. Alexa Bliss is making good points. Like, seriously. And yeah, I know Lesnar could probably snap me in half and to grind me into dust. Yeah, I get that. So I basically warrant a death sentence for me. Well, it was nice knowing me, so I'll be sure to talk about that in a future video if I ever encounter Lesnar. But, yeah. Alexa Bliss brought up a point. Why should she defend her title if Lesnar's not going to defend his? They're practically supposed to be the world titles of the women and men's division. They should be treated equally. Isn't that the whole point of the women's evolution? The women can be just as capable as the men, and you have the world champion of Raw doing virtually nothing because, oh, he has a contract and he can do whatever he wants. And I even made jokes about showing a gif of Lesnar shaking his head no when I pretend to be WWE saying this. Hey Lesnar, do you want to work Elimination Chamber? And Lesnar screams out, no! And then shakes his head, and WWE's like, well, we tried. Yeah. So, this storyline did not get the proper respect it should have been given. Like, if they want to have the women be treated just as great as the men, it can't just be high-quality matches. It needs to have high-quality storytelling. And I don't mean the storytelling they did with Sasha Banks and Charlotte. That was just recycled hot potatoism. So at least they got that down right because they did that back in the old days for the men. And the world title. And the hardcore title. That was popular. But at least the hardcore title had an excuse, whereas the WWE title didn't really need an excuse to be treated as a hot potato item. But yeah. Yeah, this video is much shorter because, like I said, there's only 4 matches. The 5th one most likely going to happen with the tag team titles between Titus Worldwide and The Bar. Also, Apollo Crews. Yeah, his name's just Apollo now because long names are complicated. That's at least my best guess. So, which match do I think is going to steal the show? Honestly, I don't know. All I know is we already know where 3 of these matches are going. The 4th one is still up in the air for long-term projections for Bray Wyatt's future, especially at WrestleMania and his losing streak he has. The Bar, they're going to most likely win their kickoff. Asuka guaranteed. Alexa Bliss is probably going to be guaranteed unless they change plans in the middle of the week. Roman Reigns, they're dead set on that. Vince would rather drop dead than ever let someone else take the spot, like Finn Balor or Elias, or give it to Strowman, even though everyone loves Strowman. So, yeah, that's practically it. I don't have any more words to describe this, but other than Gauntlet match, freaking awesome. You don't even need to watch this. If you were so dissatisfied seeing Roman Reigns win and then ultimately go on to WrestleMania, then just watch the Gauntlet match. That ended with Cena and Reigns losing to Seth Rollins twice in one match. Seth Rollins eliminated Reigns clean, and Seth Rollins eliminated John Cena clean. He is now on Chris Jericho level of history making. Because remember, Chris Jericho defeated both The Rock and Austin. Remember that match? That was awesome. And he won the Undisputed title. Now Seth Rollins has made history himself. He defeated the 2 top guys, but for a match that had no stakes. So, that was the most highlighted moment, and it took them several weeks and a few months to get this right. So, they got the men's Elimination Chamber somewhat interesting, but yeah, we already know how this is going to end. So, those were my thoughts on WWE Elimination Chamber Build-Up 2018. This is Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more. And hashtag Remember Bray Wyatt 2017 Elimination Chamber.